Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we have a lot to talk about today as the blockbuster trade, probably of the season. Jack Eichel gets traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll be taking a look at that and diving deep into it in this video. So, Jack Eichel is officially a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, this is an interesting thing that has sort of occurred here over the last little while. There was rumors that we weren't going to see something get done till next summer. There may not be something, who knows? It may have gotten to a point where the CBA had to have gotten more involved, and it could have gotten really ugly. Good news is, everybody's happy. The fans are happy because we get to see Jack Eichel play again. At least we have a timeline. Jack Eichel gets to play hockey again. He gets to have the surgery he wants. And the Buffalo Sabres get the assets that they wanted for Jack Eichel. So we're going to start off with the story between Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres. And basically it came down to Jack Eichel had suffered an injury against the New York Islanders in a game last season. And a cross-check to the neck. And he's going to need disc replacement surgery in his neck, a very sensitive area. And there was some concern that this new type of surgery Jack Eichel wanted to get, basically the Buffalo Sabres have all the leverage in a situation where if Jack Eichel gets a surgery, they have to sign off on it. And they didn't want to sign off on this surgery because let's also remember the fact that the Sabres signed an 8-year, $80 million contract with this player. So they do have some say in terms of what surgery Eichel could have gotten. Obviously, there was that disagreement between the both of them. Then there was talk about the Sabres trying to get the exact deal that they want. Because let's be honest, we all know Kevin Adams is going to get very critiqued for this trade. If this ends up not being a good trade for Kevin Adams, we will find out fairly quickly. But again, I think it's one of those things where he had to get the assets he needed. And the ownership from the Pagulas, they were not pushing him to make a deal by the beginning of this season. And I think that gave a little bit of leverage to the Sabres. They're like, listen, we don't get the assets we want. We're not making the deal. And I think that was a pretty good move looking back now because we've seen this before. We saw it with Matt Duchene, Jonathan Drouin. We've seen it with other players around the NHL. You end up getting the value that you need in return. And I think that's something close to what we saw here. So, what is the actual trade, you may ask? Well, the actual trade came down to the wire. There were a couple of teams involved. We heard Carolina was very close on getting Jack Eichel. Obviously, the Calgary Flames and the Vegas Golden Knights seem to be the last two teams. And the Golden Knights end up getting Jack Eichel and a 2023 third-round pick from Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres and Kevin Adams acquire forward Alexander Tuch, Peyton Krebs, a 2022 conditional first-round pick, and a 2023 second-round pick. Basically, what this is the Golden Knights saying, listen, Peyton Krebs is a decent player. Alex Tuch, we aren't going to see him probably till around the Olympic break. He's going to be injured. And we get 2 draft picks, early draft picks, a first and a second. Excuse me. So basically what we're looking at is Jack Eichel, who will get the surgery he wants. The Vegas Golden Knights have signed off. They will let him get the surgery he wants. And from the Sabres side of things, you pick up Alex Tuch, who is from upstate New York. He's from Syracuse. He's never played a full 82-game schedule yet, which is a little bit concerning. He has put up some good numbers. He was a 2014 first-round pick back in the 18th overall selection by the Minnesota Wild. And this is another guy that is a former Golden Knight, of that original group, the guys that were drafted in the expansion draft. Alex Tuch was one of those guys. And this is another one of those guys that leaves the Vegas Golden Knights organization. I think the fans are a little bit upset with that. You look at the core guys they have lost here over the last little while. They've lost Nate Schmidt. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. But you look at the group of guys they've lost. Obviously, Fleury. Fleury was the big one, right? And now Alexander Tuch. I think there is a little bit of disassociation by the fan base because they want to see their players on the ice that they really, grew to liking in Vegas, and they can't imagine a Vegas Golden Knights team without Alexander Tuch or Marc-Andre Fleury or anyone else that was on that original team for that matter. But they also give up Peyton Krebs, who was the 17th overall pick back in the 2018 NHL draft. I remember he was limping up to the podium. He was the 17th pick, and the only reason he slid to 17 was because of the injury stuff. And teams were worried about that. Vegas taking a chance on him ended up working out pretty well, but it just didn't work out in Vegas. And that's the other thing we have to get to here, because you look at the Vegas side of things, they get a great player, Jack Eichel. You look at the star power they have there. I mean, you could go down the list. You've got Max Pacioretty. He was a captain in Montreal, of all teams, right? A very prestigious organization. Mark Stone was a leader. Maybe not, he wasn't a captain necessarily in Ottawa, but he was a leader in Ottawa with the Ottawa Senators. He ended up getting dealt. Now he's the captain of the Golden Knights. Alex Pietrangelo in 2019, he won a Stanley Cup as the captain of the St. Louis Blues. And now you bring in Jack Eichel, who is the captain of the Buffalo Sabres. That means you have 4 guys that are true leaders on your team. And I think that does account well for what the Golden Knights are trying to do. Basically, they are saying, we need to be the biggest show in town. And that's what they've done. And that definitely fits the culture and the mold of the city of Vegas, in Sin City. And it does make a lot of sense. So you got Jack Eichel and a 3rd-round pick going to Vegas. And like I said, for Buffalo side of things, they get 2 former first-round picks, a first-round pick in 2022 or 2023. Depends on, pretty sure that's a lottery-protected pick by the Golden Knights, and a 2023 second-round pick. So they get basically 3 first-round potential, first-rounders, meaning either they were a first-round pick or will be a first-round pick selection, and a second-round pick. That's a pretty good value for Jack Eichel. Despite his health and everything else, that's a pretty nice offer. Now, it is lower than the offer we were hearing just a couple days ago, that it was going to be a high-end prospect, a forward, a defenseman, and multiple draft picks. We didn't see that defenseman get thrown into the deal, and I think that's a win for the Golden Knights. They didn't have to give up Zach Whitecloud or Nick Hague. And I think Nick Hague is the interesting one, the 6'6", 250 or 60-pound defenseman. He's still developing into a good defenseman, but there was a lot of talk if Nick Hague got thrown into this trade, that would have made things a lot more difficult for the Golden Knights, because that's another guy they would have lost. But they're able to get rid of a guy, Peyton Krebs, in 9 games this season. He has not registered a point yet this year. He's also a -6 on the season. In 13 NHL games, he has 1 point, and I believe he's like a -8 overall in his NHL career so far. So kind of showing the lack of development from the Golden Knights. Because this is a team that has now traded Cody Glass, who was a 5th overall pick this summer. They've now traded Peyton Krebs, who was a first-round pick in that same draft. They traded Eric Brandstrom, who was a Golden Knights draft pick. So they're selling out right now. And I wonder if there is some extent, especially with Krebs and Glass, is there a bit of a problem with developing players in Vegas? Because that's something nobody's really talking about. But I wonder if that is on the line here, if that is something that could be brought up at some point, because that is a little bit of a storyline that is building in Vegas. And I think this team is they're so focused on winning now. Like Bill Foley and Kelly McCrimmon have said, they will make cutthroat deals, trading Marc-Andre Fleury, trading whoever they need to in order to get this team where they want to be. We saw them make a bit of a desperation move here for getting Jack Eichel, but it's a calculated move as well, because for the Golden Knights perspective, you probably won't see 100% Jack Eichel this year, even if he comes back. He's going to be probably at around 60, maybe 70% this season if he does play from the Olympics to the end of the season. And I don't know if that's going to be enough for the Golden Knights to potentially make the playoffs in 2022. We may be talking about Vegas missing the playoffs this year. And I think they look at the long term that this is not a one-year rental guy in Jack Eichel. They have him locked up for the foreseeable future. He has 5 more years left on that contract, so he's still got time there. So in the worst case scenario, they miss the playoffs this year, Jack Eichel isn't 100%. Going into next season, they will have Jack Eichel healthy, and they will start from scratch from the beginning of the season with hopefully a healthy roster of Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, Jack Eichel, William Karlsson, Alex Pietrangelo, because this team is very depleted and they're trying way too much, and especially the top guys that are left, like Pietrangelo. He's trying to do too much, and it's starting to actually hurt his game and the game of his team. He's trying to overcompensate, and I know that's what competitive NHL players will do, but it's gotten to the point where it's starting to actually hurt them more. But I think this Jack Eichel deal, I think there is mixed feelings for this, because like I said, it's kind of exemplary of where the Golden Knights are at. They're willing to give up draft picks, which they did. Alex Tuch, who was an original guy, they didn't really want to lose him. And Peyton Krebs was supposed to be this promising prospect from Winnipeg Ice that they've traded away now because they really seemingly haven't developed him. So there's a lot of storylines from this trade from both angles. But yeah, I mean, again, this is another original guy gone in Alex Tuch. He was going to be gone for most of the season anyway. His contract ends in 2026, I believe. So he's still got a couple years left on that at $4.75. So he'll be with the Buffalo Sabres. He's actually excited to be in Buffalo. He said he always wanted to play for the Buffalo Sabres. Kind of, you would think, who told him to say that? But he's from Syracuse. He's right down the road. So he does have that connection with the organization. And I think this is a good trade for both teams. Buffalo gets the assets they need. They also get a guy that could come in at some point this season in Alexander Tuch. Dare I say, could he be the next captain of the Buffalo Sabres? Again, it seems a little early to be saying that, but still, I think he's an early candidate for the way he plays. And we're going to have to see some emergence from Peyton Krebs. Can he be a top 6 forward at this point? We're not even asking for star power, number one, winger on your team. Can he just be a competent top 6 forward in the NHL? I think that's what the Buffalo Sabres would be more than happy with getting from him. And like I said, they also pick up the conditional first. I assume that's lottery protected, could become 2023. And they have a for sure 2023 second round pick. All right. I think we got through most of this, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of this trade? It's hard to say a winner because I don't actually think there is a winner or a loser in this trade. I think both sides get what they need. The question is, where do the results come from each of these sides? So we'll see what happens there. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, more videos just like this one, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much. I will see you next time.